Three major and humiliating back-to-back-to-back news updates from just this morning prove that House Republicans' desperate bid to impeach President Biden is indeed nothing but a baseless witch hunt. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. All right, folks, I begin this video with a bit of a disclaimer. I am personally not feeling well, so if I sound congested or make any weird noises, I beg your indulgence. But we have several clips to play. The first major news update, when it came out, I thought it merited its own video response. And then two more came in, and it's entirely possible that at the time of recording, more still are coming in. But we're going to start with a clip of the biggest of the three major developments or news updates. And we'll play these clips and we'll unpack all of it.
And this just into CNN, Hunter Biden is willing to testify before lawmakers with something of a catch, only if he can testify in public. Let's go over to CNN's Caitlin Poland. She has this new reporting for us just in. Caitlin, this is coming from Hunter Biden's legal team. What does this mean then?
Well, Kate, let the negotiations begin. There was a subpoena earlier this month from the House Oversight Committee led by Republican James Comer to Hunter Biden, as well as to many other people, where the House Republicans are wanting to pry into the business transactions around the Biden family, specifically the president's son, Hunter Biden, who has many business transactions and also foreign business connections. They've wanted to build steam in an impeachment inquiry of the sitting president, Joe Biden. They haven't gotten very much off the ground with that as far as facts and evidence goes, and there's even Republicans in the caucus that are doubting it. But that subpoena for Hunter Biden is on the table, and Congress has a lot of authority to call Hunter Biden in to testify before them whenever they have an inquiry like this. So Hunter Biden's lawyers are responding now and saying, yes, he is willing to come and testify before your committee, but he's not going to do it behind closed doors. He will do it publicly if you want. We're willing to do it on December 13th, the date that was on that subpoena. But we're going to have to see if that's exactly what happens here, if there's additional negotiations about when this testimony would take place, if it would be in a different plan than publicly as Hunter Biden's team wants it to be done.
So that's huge, folks. I mean, Republicans have been threatening and hinting that they would subpoena Hunter Biden, President Biden's civilian son, to testify before the Republican-led House Oversight Committee. And then they finally pulled the trigger on it recently. And it seems that Hunter Biden and his attorneys have called their bluff. So this is a quote from a Washington Post article describing this development, and it's quoting Abby Lowell, who is Hunter Biden's personal attorney. She wrote a letter to James Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and she says, "Mr. Chairman, we take you up on your offer. Accordingly, our client will get right to it by agreeing to answer any pertinent and relevant question you or your colleagues might have. But rather than subscribing to your cloaked one-sided process, he will appear at a public oversight and accountability committee hearing. A public proceeding would prevent selective leaks, manipulated transcripts, doctored exhibits, or one-sided press statements," Lowell added. Now, in response to this, Republicans refused to take yes for an answer. In a statement later Tuesday morning, Comer himself indicated he would not comply with Biden's request that the deposition be done in public. Hunter Biden is trying to play by his own rules instead of following the rules required of everyone else. That won't stand with House Republicans. That's James Comer. So James Comer, who again is the leader of the House Oversight Committee, the guy who is saying, hey, we want oversight, we want accountability, we want transparency. When the guy that they want to subpoena, that they want to question, says, yeah, sure, I'll do it, and I'll do it in public. How's that for transparency? Comer's like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, not that kind of transparency. Not like that. We want the opportunity to really see if we've actually got anything here in private, and then engage in those leaks and those one-sided press statements and, manipulated transcripts, et cetera, and so forth, thus indicating he really doesn't want a full transparent accounting. Now, in response to this, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, a Democrat named Jamie Raskin, who I really like, he said this: "Let me get this straight. After wailing and moaning for 10 months about Hunter Biden and alluding to some vast unproven family conspiracy, after sending Hunter Biden a subpoena to appear and testify, Chairman Comer and the Oversight Republicans now reject his offer to appear before the full committee and the eyes of the world and to answer any questions they pose. What an epic humiliation for our colleagues, and what a frank confession that they're simply not interested in the facts and have no confidence in their own case or the ability of their own members to pursue it. After the miserable failure of their impeachment hearing in September, Chairman Comer has now apparently decided to avoid all committee hearings where the public can actually see for itself the logical, rhetorical, and factual contortions they have tied themselves up in. The evidence has shown time and again that President Biden has committed no wrongdoing, much less an impeachable offense. Chairman Comer's insistence that Hunter Biden's interview should happen behind closed doors proves it once again. What the Republicans fear most is sunlight and the truth. Just a scathing response. And it's absolutely true. But what's interesting is that's not the only major news pertaining to the potential impeachment of President Biden. So this is Lisa McClain, a Republican congressperson who was asked point blank by Maria Bartiromo, a Fox propagandist, what exactly Biden did in terms of influencing public policy. What are Republicans actually alleging, and do they have proof of it?
The witness testimony, of course, all indicating or suggesting that there could be some serious crime here, like bribery or money laundering. Have you been able to identify any actual policy changes that Joe Biden made as a result of getting money from China?
The short answer is no. That's what we're trying to get to right now. That's why Chairman Comer is requesting those documents. The FBI knew he had those classified documents for 18 months and sat on those. What were in those documents?
So they have nothing. This is a fishing expedition. They have launched a formal impeachment inquiry into President Biden without a full House vote, which contradicts everything that Republicans said was the standard when Trump was president. They said, listen, if you want to launch a formal impeachment inquiry, you need the support of the majority of the House of Representatives. They skipped that step when it came to Biden. And then they've moved the goalposts so many times. Well, it's about Biden. What's about the Biden crime family? What's about Hunter Biden? What's about Biden? They move it back and forth. And then when asked point blank, time and time again, what is your proof? What is your evidence? They shrug and they say, I don't, we don't have it yet. And that's the basis. That's the wafer thin basis by which you want to impeach a sitting president. And then you have another Republican congressman, Matt Rosendale, who, by the way, is as far right as it gets. He's over there with Matt Gaetz. This is what he had to say about impeachment prospects of President Biden.
Support the impeachment resolutions of Mayorkas. I do not believe that you're probably going to be able to get an impeachment, a removal of President Biden, but I do think that if our Department of Justice acted in a legitimate manner, that there's enough facts that are already laid out there on the table because of all the great work that Jamie Comer has done, that we can see that the Biden crime family has major problems.
So even in that statement, Matt Rosendale moves the goalpost. You know, we've proven that the Biden family, the Biden crime family, but he admits that you probably can't get an impeachment or a removal of President Biden. So to recap, you have one House Republican involved saying, no, we don't have proof that Joe Biden did anything corruptly in exchange for the bribes that we allege he received but can't prove. We can't prove the bribes, and we can't prove that he did anything corruptly to receive those bribes that we can't prove exist, number one. Another second major update is a House Republican, a far-right Republican, saying we probably can't get an impeachment or a removal of President Biden when it comes to the evidence. That's the second major update. And then the third one, the most recent one, and arguably the biggest one, is House Republicans got what they wanted. The president's civilian son, who has been investigated by the Republican Party in the House and in the Senate and under the Obama Justice Department and under the Trump Justice Department and under his own father's Justice Department, the most investigated private citizen that I can think of. Hunter Biden agrees to testify before Republicans and answer their questions with the one caveat that it has to be public, which you would think they want if they really wanted transparency, as they often say. And they're declining. Three major updates. If there are any lingering doubts, this should sweep them all the way. The fact of the matter is that the Republican Party has produced no material basis to justify the impeachment inquiry, let alone an impeachment, let alone a conviction. This is a baseless political partisan witch hunt. This is retribution. This is an attempt to hurt President Biden politically in an election season because Donald Trump has been federally indicted and was himself twice impeached. Of course, the difference is that in terms of the indictments and the impeachments against Trump, they all had very compelling fact-based substance to them. Republicans don't have that here. And if there's anybody doubting that, I invite you to just revisit these particular updates. House Republicans are a joke. They are unfit to govern. They have no interest in producing material benefits for the American people or even their own specific constituents, and they should be relentlessly mocked. Let me know what you think in the comments.